In a world where the need for minerals continues to grow immensely, certain African countries are coming out openly to put a strong barrier against the exploitation of their resources. As the exploitation of mineral resources in Africa, while offering potential for economic growth, has historically led to environmental degradation, social unrest, and uneven distribution of benefits, with some arguing that it has fueled conflict and hindered sustainable development, rising Pan-Africanists led by President Ibrahim Traore, together with colleagues in the Alliance of Sahel States, are saying it is time to say no to these scenarios. These Pan-Africanists argue that the abundance of natural resources in Africa has paradoxically led to economic stagnation and dependency on the export of raw materials rather than fostering sustainable development. Ensuring that mining revenues are used to benefit local communities and invest in sustainable development projects, President Ibrahim Traore, together with his colleagues, have come out with tough decisions against the exploitation caused by foreign mining companies that are fueled by their respective governments. As the African Mining Vision, through the African Union's African Mining Vision, which aims to promote transparent, equitable, and optimal exploitation of Africa's mineral resources, with a focus on sustainable development and regional integration, has failed to work for the benefit of Africa. Leaders for this case, President Ibrahim Traore, have not waited for this weakness. As nations push to secure the critical minerals such as gold, copper, cobalt, and those needed for clean energy technologies like electric vehicles, batteries, and renewable energy systems, Africa's vast resources are being thrust into the spotlight. However, while these partnerships promise investment, they also raise concerns about who truly benefits from Africa's mineral wealth. As the European Union and the West at large hold considerable regulatory power, shaping the global economic rules that countries, including those in Africa, must follow, including the Critical Minerals Act, its policies, which seem to be aiming at promoting sustainability, have been exposed by President Ibrahim Traore and his colleagues as inadvertently creating significant barriers for African countries pursuing green industrialization and integration into the global economy. Instead of providing support to help African countries transition to cleaner energy, the West policies risk reinforcing unequal trade dynamics, where African nations and other developing countries face barriers to developing their own green economies. This is where President Ibrahim Traore comes in with new reforms to stop these scenarios. Burkina Faso adopted a new mining code in July 2024, Law No. 016/2024 ALT, aiming to increase state control and domestic participation in the mining sector, including local investment, processing, and stricter penalties for violations. The new code significantly increases the state's control and participation in mining activities, including mandating local investment, strengthening regulatory oversight, and enforcing stricter penalties. It mandates local mineral processing and partial local ownership in mining firms, and requires mining companies to give preference to qualified local employees, businesses, and contractors. The code introduces 2 categories of exploration permits and 6 types of exploitation permits, customized for operation specifics and scale. The state is granted rights to acquire mining shares and preemptive rights on mineral title transfers. The new mining code by President Ibrahim Traore maintains a local development fund and a rehabilitation and mine closure fund, financed through a mix of taxes, state contributions, and mandatory annual contributions from mining companies. Adding to that, Burkina Faso also adopted Act No. 007/2024 ALT, relating to local content in the mineral sector, defining local content as mechanisms for developing national capacities in the provision of goods and services, the use of local human resources, and the promotion of domestic investors. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso no longer orient themselves towards France or Western business interests. As demand for raw materials grows, this pivot is expected to bring about significant consequences for Europe's mineral supply. Despite their citizens being among Africa's poorest, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso boast mineral riches beyond the dreams of most nations. All three Sahel countries have sizable gold deposits and minerals increasingly important for renewable energy production. The Malian mining law now says, Malian companies should benefit from at least 51% of supply contracts. A portion of the revenue from the mining operations should be used to finance local infrastructure projects. The Goulamina lithium mine in Mali is the 6th largest lithium project in Africa, according to the Battery Minerals Africa portal. The 2 largest lithium projects are in Zimbabwe, the 3rd and 4th largest are in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the 5th largest project is in South Africa. Burkina Faso sits atop some of West Africa's richest mineral deposits, yet vast reserves remain untapped. Being among top 5 gold producers in Africa, Burkina Faso has long relied on the precious metal to drive its economy. But beyond gold, deposits of copper, manganese, and other strategic minerals, including rare earth elements in regions such as Zungu and Mangadara, could redefine its mining future. Beyond gold, Burkina Faso has one of the world's highest-grade manganese deposits at Tambao, estimated at 107 million tons. However, commercial development has stalled due to legal disputes and logistical challenges. These are the challenges that President Ibrahim Traore needs to solve immediately. Countries such as Tanzania, South Africa, and the Democratic Republic of Congo hold a large share of the world's cobalt, manganese, and nickel reserves. However, they have faced unfair trade agreements, overlooking local benefits, and the historic patterns of extraction, where external powers profit while African communities bear the brunt of the costs. South Africa, where coal remains a major energy source, is a key example. Western regulations penalize such countries, making it harder for them to access the EU market, thus stifling their economic potential. Countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo are relegated to the initial stages of mineral production, mining and exporting raw materials, while higher value processes like refining and manufacturing occur elsewhere, primarily in Europe and the West at large. This way reflects colonial economic structures, where raw materials are extracted from Africa and the economic benefits are reaped in Europe, reinforcing dependency and preventing African nations from moving up the value chain. The US leverages its significant market power to gain strategic advantages in the global race for critical minerals, particularly through laws like the Inflation Reduction Act. This legislation not only incentivizes domestic production of critical minerals, but also encourages reshoring and friendshoring supply chains, which involve bringing manufacturing and supply chains closer to home or to allied nations. While reducing dependency on China, this approach can also be seen as a form of green neo-colonialism because it reinforces global power imbalances. The US is looked at as taking advantage of its market position in a way that mirrors traditional colonial patterns, where resource-rich regions are exploited for the benefit of more powerful nations, without equitable participation or shared benefits.